Welcome, drummers, to the second installment of Common Pitfalls for Beginner Drummers. See if you can tell what's wrong here. I was trying to slow down from my ride playing to when I got over here. What this pitfall is sometimes you're at one dynamic level in a song. You're pretty loud, you're really, playing full out. Then you get to a quiet part of a song. And our brains like to assimilate quiet and soft with slow. But they're not the same thing. You do not want to slow down the quiet part. And in praise and worship, pretty much every song has a quiet part. You don't want that to drag. Even though you're going to maybe a part where you're only keeping time on the hi-hat or doing things really softly, you've got to keep that tempo going. It can't drag. You don't want it to drag. Because even if you don't realize you're doing it, it's not obvious to you, it is obvious to those who are listening. So the first thing is just to be aware that that's the brain's inclination. That's big. I know for me personally, I was doing that, I didn't even know it, and we had a guitar player, and at practice, he would hear me slowing down in a quiet part, and I was a pretty new drummer, and he would just stomp his foot, and he'd be like, look at my foot, don't slow down, don't slow down. I'm so glad he did that. I learned a lot from that, and I took that weakness and turned it around, and from there on did my best to keep that tempo going in those quiet parts. The other thing, which I highly suggest, is getting a metronome. You don't have to put it in your ears and play the whole time with in your ears. No, you don't have to do that. In my church, we've got a Boss DB90, and it's got a threaded hole. So we've got a boom arm on a cymbal stand, and it threads onto the cymbal stand. And we turn the volume on that metronome all the way down, and we just turn it to the beats per minute we need. Like say we're at 100 beats per minute, and we just watch the arm, and we use that to click off. We use that during the song to look over at and see if we're still pretty much with it. That really helps a lot. Another thing you could do is if you have a phone or an iPad or whatever, you can get a metronome app. And there's different ways that you can mount it. If it's a small item like an iPod or an iPhone, Gibraltar makes this gooseneck piece especially for holding MP3 players and small phones. And you can mount it right there and get that going, and that's one way to do it. Another way is you can take a microphone stand and unwind the piece that holds the microphone. Take that off, that threads right off, and put on a holder. There's certain holders that are made that will hold your your iPad, and different things such as that, and different makers make them. And that way you could have that right here, and your pendulum going with your metronome app. There's just different ways you can go about it if you don't want to buy a metronome, but you already have those things available to you, iPad, iPhone. If you are going to buy a metronome, buy one that has the pendulum arm. Just that red flashing light, I know for me personally, that just does nothing for me. That does not help me. But seeing the arm back and forth, that's great. And you can buy ones with that for, $50, $60. You don't have to spend as much money as the metronome my church has. What I like about that one, though, it has the threaded hole to put it on a cymbal stand, which is nice, but there's other ways you can do it. I mean, you can duct tape the metronome to something if you need to. But anyway, I hope that helps. Thanks for watching, and remember, you can totally do this.